gonna talk a little bit on a more serious note. Most of you, well, I knew her from Harris. She's usually around. I heard a couple things about her when I listened to Coco's and Elaine's podcast, Naked Love. That's a really good show if you haven't heard it. I learned that she likes to hang out around her boyfriend because he's apparently a pretty good cook.
Looks like a god.
We all hope to share that one day. But enough of that. Everyone, welcome, Evelina.
Hi guys, so as hopefully all of you know, I'm from Ukraine and I'm from Crimea. So today I'm going to tell you some things that you should know before starting your revolution. Yeah, ready? Okay, so that's me in like third year of college sleeping in my history class. Okay, we're looking at some like stuff about Cold War and whatever, but then I suddenly wake up because my professor says, you know what, guys, I wish that you never have to live in the age of uncertainty and great change. And I'm like, what? What do you mean? Like, that would be amazing, right? How many of you haven't wished to be like the next Che Guevara or like the Jeanne d'Arc, you know, like be burned and crucified for a great cause, you know? So I'm like, well, what are you talking about? And remember that this is happening on a November morning, rainy November morning, sometime in 2013, and this is happening in Ukraine, in this amazing country in the center of Europe. It's literally, you see that heart? That's like the center of Europe, geographically, I'm not kidding. So it's amazing, you know, we've got all these mountains and beautiful culture and history and, you know, the seas to swim and navigate and all these mountains to like hike and whatever. And so we've also got great people that invented the best food, the helicopter, X-ray, Carol of the Bells. We dug the deepest metro in the world, and we also invented the Constitution. We had it before the US and the France did, okay? Exactly. So we're also one of the most educated nations in the world, but the thing and the mystery is that we're still a poor developing country with dysfunctional public institutions. And part of the problem, I think, is that at that point in time we were only 22 years old, despite like all of our like history of fighting for our independence, and you know we established one of the first democracies in Europe. But anyway, so with all this like political mess going on, we had in 2013 this looming prospect for change, which was the agreement with the European Union about the association. So we hoped that it would bring reform and like more transparency to the government and open up our market, but then our late president just like refuses to sign it because he got a bribe from Putin. So I'm facing coordination problem. So lesson number one, know your game theory, don't sleep in your NAP class. History is okay if you're not. So I see this Facebook post. It basically says in Ukrainian, like, let's go protest. And I go protest, and so do 1,000 of other university students. It's just us, university students, you know, who understand what just happened. Our dream is being taken from us. And we're protesting under European Union flags because it represents for us our role model, the democracy, the values that we want to achieve. But then eventually it stops being romantic and it becomes violent, and the government sends special services to like beat us up, and then eventually barricades are built and Molotov cocktails are thrown, and you know, millions of people take to the streets, and it becomes not about Europe, it becomes about fighting injustice and fighting the Ukrainian government. Also, another thing, important thing that's going on at this time is that we're fighting the Soviet ideology. Like the mindset is changing, and so what's happening is the reigning Lenins, people are just starting like to topple Lenin's, like every Lenin statue they see, because it represents the Soviet past, the dictatorship, the genocide/famines that they waged on us back in the 30s, you know, the gulags. But then suddenly, lesson number two, expect to win and plan for the future. Because we did win exactly 4 years ago, exactly on this day. Our president fled to Russia, leaving us with like a hole in the budget and a bunch of people dead, and we had to, you know, not wasted chance. Now, my friends in the meantime from Crimea, that's Crimea, are calling me and are asking me like, why are you siding with the fascists? Like, what is going on there? Like, you know, and I'm like, well, that's Russian propaganda, but that's a topic for another Pechakucha talk, so I'm not going to talk about it. But anyway, so what happens is suddenly unmarked soldiers and tanks enter Crimea, they take it over, and since March 2014, Russia has been in control of Crimea. And obviously because in Ukraine it's chaos, it's just after the revolution, there's nobody to give orders and to fight this. So now what we are having in Crimea is this. We have political persecution, we have economic situation completely deteriorating, people like trying to survive and make the ends meet. We have people disappearing, we have people fleeing to continental Ukraine. But one tragic thing is that the occupational regime has targeted particularly one group, the Crimean Tatars, who are the indigenous people of Crimea, and it's a Turkic Muslim ethnic minority. And now, why exactly is this so tragic? Is because this has already happened before. Back in 1944, Stalin ordered them, like declared them traitors and ordered them out of Crimea. Basically sent all of them, which was like 200,000 people, out to the deserts of Central Asia. Now, within the first 3 years after that, half of them died of disease and starvation. Now, my grandma was 12 when she got deported. And she got deported with her mom and siblings, which half of them she lost, while her father was fighting as a Soviet soldier, fighting the Nazis, right? So lesson number 3, be prepared to also lose, not just gain. And among the things that you might lose are, you know, valuable things, such as your home. So it still could be worse than that, than like what my family is going through, because the Russia's proxy war in the east of Ukraine has already left about 10,000 people dead. It's still going on. There's actual war, like there's tanks and whatever. But the good thing, I'm going to finish on a positive note. So as a Ukraine, as a state, as a society, we're moving in the right direction. We're having our reforms passed, like, you know, we've never had a government such professional and so committed. We've never had a civil society as strong and as mature as it is right now. So the Revolution of Dignity has really empowered us and has really united us around a common cause and our common dreams. So now, what about Crimea though? And here comes lesson 4. If you can't make a difference or, you know, through the revolution, go prepare, preferably at Harris, and you know, practice somewhere else. And I really do believe that one day Crimea will join us in this move into the right direction. And when we do make a Crimean revolution, I'll make sure that we, you know, take into account all these 4 lessons that I just shared with you. And wait, and one last thing. Can you put the slide back up or not? No? No? Okay. Oh, thank you. Okay, so I'm going to teach you something really little thing. So if you ever meet a Ukrainian and you want to let them know that, like, you congratulate them, you want to let them know that you're proud of them and that you share their ideals. Or if you meet a Crimean, especially a sad Ukrainian Crimean, you know, who's suffering, and you want to give them hope, and you want to let them know that you support them, and you believe that the good kind of revolution will come for them as well in the future, you can say the following. You can say, Slava Ukraini, which means glory to Ukraine, and they will respond, Героям Slava, which is glory to heroes. So it goes like this. Slava Ukraini! Slava Ukraini! No. So I say, Slava Ukraini, and you say, thank you guys. Sure.
Could you share, like, where your family is now, how they're doing?
Yeah, sure. So my family lives in Yalta. That's where I'm from. I mean, for them and for many other families, it's not an option to move out because they disagree. Because it just, entails a lot of economic resources. It entails, for them, like people who are already adults kind of settled down, it's much more difficult for them to find new connections, to resettle completely, go to another city. So a lot of them, like my family, are staying. So as I said, in terms of quality of life, in terms of like economic conditions, like they're literally trying to make the ends meet. The atmosphere is pretty bad. Like a lot of my friends and my family are like saying that, because I only go visit, right? So, like what I'm hearing from them is it feels like we went like 30 years back, because there is this fear, the terror, the political persecution again, and a lot of them are like, the only way I can get through this and like stay sane is to like imagine that I'm like on some bad vacation, or like this is just a bad dream that's just gonna pass. And it's also interesting, sorry, it's a really long answer, but it's interesting how like people are still, like they would whisper like this stuff to each other. They would be like if they know somebody who's also like in the Ukrainian camp, they'd be like, Slava Ukraini, and they would like get a response like, I'm Slavic, because they can be heard. Or like when there's Ukrainian New Year, because there's a time difference of 1 hour, they would celebrate it as well. It's like, there's those tiny things, so people are still hopeful, and like so are my parents. But again, I'm thankful that there was like no tanks and like actual war.
Just as a quick follow-up, did you grow up with your grandmother?
What is it?
The grandmother who left.
Oh, yeah,
Did you grow up with her and have you talked?
yeah, sure. She's still alive. Like she's back in Crimea. That was.
Optimistic as you are.
She doesn't care that much. I guess she's like around 90. She's like, you're fine. Like, oh, you look beautiful. Your hair today. So, like, oh, TV, there's war or whatever, I'll just turn it off, Like, because she has a choice. But regarding, like, when I ask her now, or when I have asked her about deportation, these are, like, the darkest pages of her life, obviously. And my dad did grow up in Uzbekistan, because Uzbekistan is one of the Central Asian countries where like majority of them were deported. So like he grew up there, and they were only allowed to come back after the collapse of the Soviet Union. So it's kind of like, yeah. And now we're being forced again, basically. So like that's why it's so sad. Sorry for the long answer. Anyone else?